Hello everybody, and it's another episode here of Crafting with Kiba. I'm your host, DozerZigashi, aka Hidei Kiba, and today we're talking about the changes to tombstones and scripts coming up in Endwalker and what this means for crafters and gatherers. So, to put things up front, if you're new to 14 and you're not used to things like this, to be fair, I'm new to 14. I've only been playing for a year. This is my first new expansion, but I'm familiar enough with the systems that I can tell you, every expansion, the tombstones and scripts kind of like phase into the next stage. So right now we have like our allegory scripts and our scripts of our poetics, our allegory and revelation tombstones. Those are going to be going away. Everything purchasable with those will be bought with poetics. The Phasmagoria are the previous expansion tombstones. Those are being completely removed, and the Allegory and Revelation will be able to be exchanged for poetics. And that means that things that you may have bought for some of your crafting recipes or crafting related things will change as well, because there are a lot of allegory mats, and this is mostly for allegory that we'd be concerned about here, that will now be purchasable with poetics instead, which means your poetics might be spread more thinner than they were before, but that shouldn't be a concern. Likewise, our white scripts will become the new yellow scripts, as yellow scripts are phased out and will become exchangeable for white scripts, and red scripts are going to be removed entirely, along with script tokens, with blue crafter script and blue gatherer script tokens, and red crafters and gatherer script tokens. But what does all this mean? What's changing? What can you look forward to? That's what we're going to cover here today on Crafting with Kiba. So we're heading over to Yulmore to take a quick look at the tombstones, which is the simplest change for crafting and gathering. Tombstones are mostly a combat class and gear thing, but for crafters, we are concerned a little bit with allegory materials. So there's these things like the aluminum ore, the workbench refining sand, and the multifaceted abrasive. These things are allegory materials that we have used for various crafting items and other things. Like the spirit extract is used for tinctures. There is the aluminum ore, which is used for making these ingots that we use in Sarkic gear. Even older gear sets are things that we use, like this prismatic ingot was used for, I don't want to look at crafting method, recipes using this material. We use these for these Floor 50 weapons, as well as some of the Hades weapons and facet gear. So those are some things that like you may see these used for, and you may still have use for some of these, whether you want Exarchic stuff for glams. Maybe you want facet gear. Those are really nice for glams, or these weapons for glams, or of course the Hades weapons. If you don't have the materials and you need to get them, this is where you would normally get them. You'd exchange these tombstones of allegory for them. We'll be able to use poetics for them instead. We know this because, well, this is just the general pattern. For example, if we jump over to Idleshire and go to Rowena's House of Goods there are a lot of old materials, like, let's see, this, here we go, the Scintillant Nugget was used for crafting this ingot, which we would use for things like these 250 weapons back in the day, and the heavy metal gear, the Scintillant armor, this was endgame Heavensward types of things. And that's what these were used for. There was a certain tombstoner token that you used back in the day, and now we just use poetics for them because it's old stuff. And the same will continue onward, and the things that we can buy for allegory will be able to get with poetics. Now, where things get a little bit more interesting is the removal of red crafter and gatherers tokens and blue crafters and gatherers script tokens. Now, these are something that really only come into play in Idleshire, And these are used for level 60 gear that's dyeable, so you can use it for glams, and it actually does look kind of nice. You can also wear it, but also there's some anima weapon steps that require what would normally be like a poetics or a script dump, and you could use your blue crafter script tokens for those. And if you had rad crafter script tokens, which are older, you can exchange those in for the blue crafter script tokens at a 1:4 ratio, and you could then use those blue crafter script tokens for tradecraft gear, fieldcraft gear, or whatever. And there's a lot of opportunities and options that you actually had here. Like here we have, these are eye level 200s, crafter specific. Of course, I keep trying on headpieces as a Hrothgar, that doesn't really work. But like here is the augmented Genkeep's gown, and maybe you like how this looks, or maybe it actually dies nice. This is just stuff that right now we could use for glams. Like that actually looks pretty good. That is actually a really cool glam. You know, it's a nice top. If you dye it correctly, like that dies really well. What the hell? I hate life. These items aren't being removed from the game, just the blue crafter script tokens, so there's less steps to getting these. And I actually really like how this looks. What the hell? Oh, I have not looked at these that much. Anyway, you'll still be able to get these. They are not going away. You'll probably just exchange white scripts for them instead, because yellow scripts are being removed. Everything over here that we'll be able to buy with yellow scripts, crafters and gatherers, will be purchasable with white scripts instead. Because you see how like white crafter scripts has level 80 gear up through 80 gear 3 and 80 items, and then yellow crafter script has like 50, 61 master recipes and then the 70 stuff. Well, all this yellow scripts will be turned into white scripts, and maybe all of these will be combined into like a level 70 category just to make this menu smaller. Who knows? And then we will have categories for whatever our new script is for the level 90 gear and items. And those will be what we use for our level 90 crafts, like our level 90 raid food, our level 90 gear, and all of those kinds of fun, wonderful things. So that's something we have to look forward to. So your white scripts will stay the same. Your yellow scripts will instead be discontinued. And what that means is if we go into our currency tab, under other, you'll notice that we have red scripts here that are labeled as discontinued, but they're still valid for exchange. You could exchange these for yellow scripts, and you'd be able to have them as yellow scripts and spend them on whatever you spend your yellow scripts on now. The same thing here is going to happen to yellow script, because red crafter scripts are being scrubbed from the game entirely. And our yellow crafter scripts will become, same with the gatherers, will become discontinued. You'll be able to exchange them for a limited time. As you can see, you can still exchange your red crafter scripts, so it's going to be quite a while. And you'll be able to exchange it for another valid currency, which will become the white crafter scripts. And your white crafter scripts will stay, and then we're going to get a new script entirely. Same with the gathering. So then you're just wondering, like, okay, that's good to know, but what should we be spending these things on while we're getting ready for Endwalker? And that depends on where you are in your crafting journey. If you're still leveling, put them in your master recipes books. Anything that's useful for you to level, any gear, what have you, that's what you want to focus on. But if you're like me, you're an endgame omni crafter, you have all of your crafting and gatherers at 80, you craft endgame gear and endgame food and materials, and you're done with that. I am no longer going out of my way to craft raid food. I'm no longer going out of my way to craft raid food or raid gear. So what am I doing with my crafting tombstone? By crafting scripts. Now, right now, I'm kind of dumping them into whatever looks useful. For the most part, for me, that is actually the commercial engineering manuals. I'm putting them in. The revised engineering manuals, I'm putting those in as well. Just anything that's a bit on the useful side that'll help me when it comes to leveling my crafters come Endwalker. because that's going to be one of my major focuses, is I want to get my crafters to 90 as soon as possible. Like here, these revised engineering manuals, they're 300 scripts apiece. They give you an extra 150% experience boosts, which is going to be halved over level 80, but it's basically free experience, so that'll just help increase your leveling rate. Now, gathering. What are the things we're going to be focusing on when it comes to gathering? Now, you'll notice I don't have those manuals for gathering, and everything about scripts that's changing that applies to crafters applies to gatherers as well. So what are we spending our scripts on when it comes to gatherers? Well, when it comes to white scripts, not a whole lot. Like, okay, 11 strike Aether Sand isn't that big of a deal. But if you want to spend it on those, it is used for crafting Exarchic gear, and I believe it's used in... Is it not used? Yeah, it's used in tinctures, and the tinctures might still be helpful come the early parts of Endwalker, so... And it's used in the chili crab. So I'd say the 11 strike Aether Sand is a really good place to dump your white scripts, because the chili crab is going to still be fairly helpful for a little bit. That is something to keep in mind as we're moving forward on a gathering front for how to spend your scripts. But the most important thing I'd say for gatherers, and this may be why you maybe don't want to spend your white scripts at all, maybe you're just gonna get your 11 sand through etheric reduction like normal, and that is because you can spend your yellow scripts on high cordials. I am very low on these, but your high cordials, no matter what, changes for gatherers, because we know gathering is going to change in the sense that we no longer are getting high quality items, but we have skills like pick clean, and I'm assuming the gathering skills are going to change in a way that give us more items per gathering attempt instead of going for higher quality, similar to like how pick clean removes quality and gives us more items. So high cordials will probably be super important for getting more materials, which is more crafts that you can do if you're gathering for yourself, or more profit if you're selling those materials at all, or both if you're doing a little bit of A and a little bit of B. Cordials, super important. Super, super, super important. So how is this going to impact things moving forward? Outside of how you spend your scripts, not too much. This is a pretty normal transition point for expansions, and what can we expect moving forward is really going to depend on what we get for changes in the crafting and gathering systems in Endwalker, if any. They are doing a live letter on November 5th going over those. You can expect that I will be here to cover that as soon as that information is available. We'll sit down and talk about it, hopefully in a more timely manner than we got to talk about this. The script changes are kind of old news, but I did want to also make sure I went into how you can spend what scripts you have in the most efficient way possible. Likewise, up in the upcoming weeks, we will have guides about obtaining scripts through things like collectibles, custom deliveries, and things like that. We'll have a little bit of a guide on how to do those, preparing for Endwalker so you can gather all your scripts. And then I do want to do guides on things like macros and stuff like that, but I'm waiting for crafting and gathering change live letter in case anything I talk about and guide-wise will be changed. I don't expect it to be, but I want to make sure we wait until this new information comes out before I go covering anything like that. So with all that being said, if you have any questions for me, you can put them in the comments below. Hit me up on my Twitch. I stream every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Monday, sometimes even Wednesdays. Usually around the 4 to 5 p.m. Central Time Zone is the start time. And of course, you can come join my Discord if you want to check out stuff like that. Follow me on Twitter for updates, etc., etc. And if you like these guides, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps out. Lets me know what's going on. Lets me know what you guys like. If there's anything you want to see, let me know. I'm totally open to covering any topic you guys need help with. I have spent a lot of time over the last year learning the ins and outs of this crafting and gathering system in these games, and it's one of my favorite things about Final Fantasy XIV. So I want to share that with you as much as I can. That being said, I'm DozerZigashi, Hidei Ikiba, signing out. Catch you all next time. Bye-bye.